Everybody. So today we're going to get into the 5th chapter of Ephesians.
Did I say Ephesians? You know, we are in the 5th chapter of Ecclesiastes. Okay, carry on.
Right? So this chapter is words again from King Solomon. This chapter focuses on the reverence of God, the integrity of your words, making vows, because some of y'all be making vows to God that you're not keeping, the fertility of wealth, and finding contentment in God's gift. Okay, Solomon warns against careless speeches before God. He highlights the emptiness of greed, because you ain't getting nothing when you the love of money. You ain't getting nothing out of that. And enjoying life blessings and having gratitude. Okay. Now I don't know if you were able to follow me when I did the Proverbs, but what I've learned about reading Ephesians is a lot of the same information about wisdom and and being grateful for life. Okay. So the popular verses is 5 and 2, which says, "Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few." And if you are a big talker like me, this is one that really touches me or sticks to me. Just being mindful of what you say, not making vows to God. Because sometimes we'll be like, "Oh, God, if you get me out of this, I'll do that." And you don't even do that. Okay, you don't need to be telling God you're going to do that and you ain't doing it. All right. Okay, so 5 through 4 says, "When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in fools. Fulfill your vow. It is better to not make a vow than to make one and not fulfill it." Because that's just like promises. Your kids, they want the promises. Whatever you told them you're going to do, they want you to do it. And if you don't do it, they're going to be looking at you like, "Well, why did you tell me you was going to do it?" Okay, Ephesians 5 and 10. "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. It's too meaningless." Again, wealth means nothing. And that's the problem. You see these rich people. It's like you got enough to do everything 10 times over, and it's still not enough. Like you just want people to suffer so that you can win. And what are you winning? Because at the end of the day, you can't take none of it with you. And that's what I like about Ephesians. So in this chapter it talks about how you come into this world with no clothes on, you're gonna leave out of here with nothing. You can't take none of this stuff with you. And a lot of people, they're so frivolous with their money, they don't leave nothing for their children. We have to think about it. And not even children, you ain't got enough to bury yourself. So we have to really be mindful of what we do. We have to use wisdom. We have to use our money wisely, because at some point it's gonna show how you lived your life, and you're teaching your kids that example. Okay, so the key lesson to take away is guard your words before God. Approach God with humility and reverence, and avoid rash promises or empty prayers. Okay, keep your commitment. If you vow to God, fulfill it. Integrity matters. And not only keeping your vow to God, the way you treat your brother man is how you treat God. If you ain't keeping no word to your brother man, how are you keeping reverence to God? Money does not satisfy. The pursuit of wealth is endless and leads to anxiety and no peace. And you see people all the day, like rich people, unaliving themselves. You get all this riches and fame and all that type of stuff because it's meaningless. It means nothing. And people be wanting that. It's like, why do you want that life if you see that life is not fulfilling? The entertainment, I don't see why people still really want to be entertainers unless you're doing it for the Lord. Why? Okay, that's just my personal opinion. No offense to those of you that are. If you're using your talents for good, I ain't got nothing to say about it. If you're reverencing God, but if all your stuff is demonic and you got to do all this stuff, and you got to sell your soul in order to have it, meaningless. Okay, God is sovereign. Recognize God's authority brings perspective to our ambition and desires. So when you see God, you see God in everything. Like I was just talking about your career. If God is in your career, if you ain't doing that for His glory, who are you doing it for? Your glory? Okay. And then contentment is a gift. Enjoy your work, your blessings, and simple pleasures. Okay, so we need to walk in integrity. We need to have financial perspective. All right, we need to be thinking about our money and what we're going to do with it. Right, we need to be have gratitude and keep our lives simple. The affirmation for this chapter is: I honor God with my words and actions. I am content with his blessings and I trust his provision. I choose gratitude over greed and integrity over empty promises. Okay, so if you think about this chapter, I want you to just reflect on, when was the last time you paused before speaking to God? Do you pause? You say, God, and just think about what you say. Or you just, God, blah, blah, blah. You be like, God, I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for this day. You didn't have to do this. See, that's your time to be thinking about the stuff you want. If you don't go to your parents saying, Mommy, I just want blah blah blah. No, you got to be like, Mom, you know what? I love you. I appreciate you. And then they'll be like, what you want? But give them some reverence. Start there. If you ain't doing that with your folks. People, yo man, baby, I just appreciate you. I just love you. You be like, oh, do you? What you want? They know you want something, but at least start off with some honey, before you come in there with all of the other stuff. Okay, how can you make your prayer life more thoughtful and less rushed? What can you do to, I say, slow down? Okay, slow down. Sometimes, when you write, I used to, when I was young, um, I'm dating myself, but okay, so when I started really praying to God, I used to do like the color purple, the color purple, she would be like, Dear God, she'd be talking to God, and then she switched over to talking to Nettie, but I would always talk to God in my prayer. That's how I used to do my, when I read that book with a young person. And I was like, this is nice. You watched the movie back in the day. So I was really young when the movie came out. But then when I watched it again, because how many times have we watched Color Purple? If you from Gen X generation, you have watched The Color Purple about 11 million times, right? So I think when I watched it in high school, that's when it clicked for me that this is a way I could pray, because I love to journal. I was always writing. And I just felt like if I was writing to God, then it would be more of a prayer, and then I can get things answered, right? So I said, because I don't ever want to be in bondage. So let me just write to God. Like he don't know what happened, but let me just tell him anyway. So that's what I did. And so I think that's a good way. And I recommend that to people when I talk to them about praying. So I just want to share that with you guys. But whatever way you do it, get in your prayer closet, but a lot of people, they don't want to make it extra, I know to reverence God, but God is your friend. So if he's your friend, then you can sit in your car like me and pray and write. Or you can go sit at the park, but getting in your closet and doing something traditional and ritualistic, it's nothing wrong with that, because he talks about it. He's talking about get in your prayer closet. But the point of that is step away from other people. Let it be about me and you. Spend that quality time with, if you talk to them while you're in the shower, ain't nothing wrong with that either. So just make sure that you're making sure to reverence God. All right, you guys, this is your spiritual nugget for Ephesians 5. Everybody, everybody.